Hey guys, today I'm sharing how I became a front-end developer.
So, when I was young, I was never good at maths, and people said you need good math skills to be a programmer. So, I believed them. I didn't have good math teachers, and I essentially flunked even a class because of maths. So, when I was young, I was only playing games, never attending school, and just chilling, just enjoying the gamer life. No responsibilities and no future. All I knew is that I always wanted to work with computers. When I was 4 years old, my grandpa would tell me stories where he was building on a PC and I would come and watch him how he did it. I also asked him all kind of questions. So he saw that I always had interest in computers, but that was only the hardware aspect. I remember where my dad would tell me, "Hey, the internet is only zero and ones," and I was like, "How can the internet be zero and ones? I'm playing a game. Like, how can this be zero and ones? It doesn't make sense. It's like pictures." So for me, the internet and code was always like magic. I didn't understand what was going on, so I never thought I could be a software developer. It was not even in my mind. But with hardware, I was really good. So I was building all kinds of PCs for my friends, and I was also the guy where people came and asked for advice because something wouldn't work with their computers. So I was kind of known in my city as a computer repairer, I guess. I always knew, okay, I want to do something with IT. So I decided I would move out of my parents' house because I was living on an island, and on that island I could do nothing with IT. So I moved to my grandparents where I would get a better high school degree and also like a little bit IT. So I learned programming and I learned some hardware. I didn't program until I was 19 years old, so I'm different than those people who, I don't know, coded since they're 12. So I literally had my saw my first code when I was 19. We had an awful teacher because she would pick people who she knew they wouldn't do the assignment. She would give them assignment on the whiteboard and they needed to solve it on the whiteboard while like 40 people were watching him, and she would do this like an hour or two. It was crazy. She was just torturing the guys who were really bad at it. There was no one who had like really good grades. I remember me and a friend. We would try to program some C++ together, but even us, we got like barely the grade to made it to the next class. So it was absolutely insane. So my first programming point is I had this awful teacher. It was already kind of weird, but I still wanted to learn programming. Something fascinated me about that. I don't know what it was, but just to build something and then see it. It's only a console output, but you can decide what gets output. I wanted to learn more, so I just found it. It's a C++ programming book, and it's fucking heavy. It's like 3 kilograms. I thought, oh wow, maybe I can learn programming with that, and so I started to like read it, but I didn't understand shit, to be honest. So I kind of dropped programming for like 3 years. Obviously, this is not the end. I was working in an internship where they would use React, and it was a big company, and we would build like a dashboard for our users, and the team was agile. I also had a mentor who would guide me, and I said I want to deliver like code which actually gets used by people. So after work, after 8 hours of work, I would just non-stop program. It was actually in React, so JavaScript, and I barely knew JavaScript. So I knew some C# from game programming on the side, but I never worked with JavaScript. So I did something which you guys should not do, is to jump straight to React. But I did it because I just wanted to deliver like the code, and I also had a mentor, so that was something different maybe for me. So I just jumped straight in it. It was still hard, obviously. It was like my first job ever, but I could make it work because I was putting in the hours and I had a mentor who would help me on the way. So after like 2 weeks, I pushed my first code into the develop branch, and I was so fucking proud. Like I couldn't imagine. It was like a high. It was something like I never experienced before. And from that, I knew, okay, I wanted to work in an agile team. I don't want to go to university. I don't want to get another degree because I actually didn't had any degree. I just had a good high school degree with kind of IT, but it was not something where you could go grab a real job, especially in Germany where yeah, we are really bureaucratic and there's a lot of papers here, so people are really looking for a degree. So I was also sad because I knew I couldn't just go and could get a job. So after like 3 months, the internship ended, and I was really sad about it because I would love to work more with them. So I took another internship on a really, really small company. That was only 2 men company, and they work with WordPress and all kind of landing pages. I would say that was really beneficial for me because I loved programming, but I didn't like CSS so much. So I had another mentor who was really, really insane on CSS. So he taught me a lot about HTML and CSS, and I would actually use it even though I didn't like it that much. So I planned to have further education with them, but deep inside of me, I just knew, man, I want to work with React and TypeScript and something more complicated than just HTML and CSS. So I applied on the site, and when I told them, because I thought we were like kind of friends, by the way, guys, and you are never friends with your employers. Don't make that mistake. After I told them, they instantly cut me. That was kind of like my lowest point in my life, I guess, because I had no money. The COVID would hit really hard, and my mom was kind of out of business. I didn't have any financial support anymore. I had a flat in a city where I didn't know anyone. I had no family around me. So it was kind of like rock bottom. Like I didn't had anything, to be honest. So with that in mind, I needed to go to interviews, and I really fucked them up. I said some stupid shit which I shouldn't have. And even though I could perform some code, that the people would see that I need more work, so they would just drop me. I applied less and less. I lost motivation. I thought this is not possible in Germany. And then I just kind of tried to relax, and I only applied for jobs I would really like, and I would take my time. So I would not shotgun approach, like just apply everywhere, but I would just pick out companies I really thought, okay, I resonate with them, and then I would make tailor-suited applications, which then landed to me an interview at a construction startup. There's not a lot of startups here where I live, so it was really interesting. And they would invite me, and they gave me like an insane coding task. I actually needed to fix a bug on their app. It was React Native, so it was not React. So it was not. I didn't knew it. So they actually confronted me with a real bug. And I don't know. I was sweating like so hard. It was insane. But I somehow managed to fix this bug somehow. Yeah. Then I also they asked me all kinds of things, and then they said, yeah, you didn't have university degree, and I would really sweat hard. And I remember the CEO said, you know, I was working really hard for my degree, but I don't really need it in my day-to-day job. So I think it's bold of you to come here without that. It's not really common here. So with that, they left me alone and said they need some time to think. So I remember it would be weekend. So I had 2 days until I needed to wait for the response, and it would be so hard for me. Like these 2 days, they were going so slow. I remembered I couldn't sleep, I couldn't eat. I was like really, I was nervous all the time because I just needed one job that would change everything for me. I could finally live, and after that experience, I can take better jobs, but I just need one job. I was so desperate, you couldn't believe. The answer was yes, they would take me, and with that, everything was lifted off my shoulder, even though it was like only started and I would not get a lot of money. I was just happy that someone took me, and I also said to them I would have even gone with an internship with them because I just wanted to get more experience under my belt, and everything is better than a university degree because I actually tried university degree, but I flunked out like after 2 or 3 months because I couldn't keep up. I just needed to do something which makes sense for me, and I knew that studying maths and all that shit, which is not really making a day-to-day difference in the jobs I worked with. So I dropped the study and tried to, brute force my ways. In the end, it worked out. I worked 1.5 years on this company, on the startup, and I would have worked more with them, but I took another job. Now I make good money for German standards. It's obviously not the insane amounts that people in the USA are doing in Fang, but it's somewhere to start, and maybe I will go to Fang. Who knows? My journey will not end. It was only my start. And if I didn't have the first company who would give me the React Native experience, I don't know what would happen, to be honest. I kind of got lucky where I am now, so I appreciate it, but I also put in the hard work. I managed to learn everything HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, and TypeScript in like 6 months. But I had some prior programming experience, obviously, even though it was not really that deep. So that was my story. Let me know if you resonated with it. Drop a comment if you have any questions. I plan on making more videos about front-end development and development in general. So if you would like to see something like this, then you can subscribe and like. I would really appreciate it. So thanks for your time, and we'll see us in the next video.